Hey guys, so today we've cleared the land. Now we're actually grading for the house. And so to do that, we had to position the house. And we take the set of plans based on the property, how it's laid out, and and how the driveway is going to go up and how we want to present the house. And we set a stake, and that stake represents a corner of the house. And in this process, what we're trying to do is dig out the general area of the house, right? So that when we dig out the crawl space, it gives the concrete guys about 3 feet of play. So it's important when you're doing this process to understand how the house is going to sit on the property. And for money savings, you want to remove as much of the digging as possible. So that's counterproductive. You want to not dig as much as possible. So we're doing that by basically cutting the cap off of the hill, leveling it flat. Jerry, who is doing the work now, will actually correspond the four corners and start digging out the property at that point. Then the concrete guys will come in and they'll true it up and square it when they pour the foundation. So this is a very, very important part of the building process, and I'm very excited to see this happening today. And we'll keep going. We'll keep you updated. Yeah. So we originally were going to build a basement.
I wanted a basement.
I did too, but
yeah. But I really wanted a basement because of two reasons. One, because we get tornadoes in Georgia and I want a safe place to go so I don't die. Two is that I want to foster dogs and I wanted to have a nice separate place to keep them while they were in quarantine, to make sure they didn't have any diseases and that they could pass along to my dogs. So that's why I wanted a basement. And we found out. What did we find out, Michael? We
found out that we need to get into the concrete business, is what we found out. It's expensive.
Concrete is super expensive.
Sorry to interrupt, but I got a shock. So I've been doing this for a long time, but I haven't built a house in years, right?
He's doing commercial.
I do mostly commercial stuff now, and we don't pour a lot of concrete in our remodels, but we do some. But then I started getting quotes back, and we started looking at the return on this, and we're like, I don't know. So we're like, okay, well, we'll just do a crawl space.
Oh, wait a minute. So our next choice, obviously, would be, do we do a slab or do we do a crawl space? And Michael said, I want a crawl space.
I did.
Because why? Why did you want a crawl space?
Because it allows me access to my floor structure, so that if I ever need to go in there and change anything or fix something, or
like add an outlet or do something with your plumbing.
If the plumbing is damaged or clogged, I don't have to break the floor up with a jackhammer.
So I did not want a crawl space because I lived in a house with a crawl space when I went to the University of Georgia in Athens, and my mom used to tell me I smelled musty, and I was like, what are you talking about? I don't smell anything. And we went on vacation together to Florida, and I got my clothes out of my suitcase, and I was like, oh my God, these smell so musty. I had gone nose blind to the must in that house because there was a crawl space and it was a rental house.
Right.
She was like, you need to tell that landlord to encapsulate that. And I was like, this landlord hardly ever comes over to fix anything that needs fixing. So I didn't want poor air quality for us or the dogs. So I was not wanting a crawl space. So what did we do? Hey guys, so behind us is what happens when you change your mind. So we started having all of that dug out for a crawl space. Okay, first it was going to be a basement. Concrete was too expensive. Then this one had to have a crawl space. But as we did research, we realized we don't want to deal with any moisture issues and potential like air quality issues. So our grader is coming back to fill all that in. And I'll turn this camera around. All the dirt that now has to go back to where it came from. So, in saying all of that, your choices are important. It's important that you know what you're starting with because changes cost money and time is money. You got anything to say?
Nope, I think you covered it. So we reached out to a couple concrete subcontractors and got a price on, doing block walls and then encapsulating.
Because he was so adamant about having access. So before we reached out to those people, we contacted the lady who did our plans and said, can you please change this to a crawl space? And because we want it changed to a crawl space, we want to adjust the bonus room area over the garage so we have more space up there that we're going to lose by not having the basement. Cha-ching! That cost us money for those changes.
Yep.
So then
and time.
And a lot of time.
And time.
Because you're on her schedule for when she can make the changes.
Well, not only that, now we have to rebid it all out. So where we were on those bid processes, it sets us back because now we have to rebid it out.
And you don't hear back from these people very quickly. They're busy.
Yeah.
Right? So they're working all the time. So we got new bids for either poured walls on the crawl space or block walls. And I'm telling you, it was very hard to get in touch with block wall people.
Yeah, so not a lot of people do that anymore. Mason work is it's just not as popular as it used to be anymore. We actually, just a hint, we actually found that if you go to some of the landscape architects, they actually still do that for retaining walls and yard stuff. So if you're in a bind, check them out. That's just a side note. So we're looking at this and we're thinking we're gonna do this, and we're noticing that the price isn't dropping as much as we were hoping for.
Yeah.
And I went to the property one day, and if you allow me to tell this, I went to the property one day and I started looking, and we already have it dug out for a crawl space. And I said, you know what? I hate to say it, I think we should just do a slab.
Wait a minute. Is that what happened? Because I talked to a couple of realtors who told me they didn't have anything but trouble with crawl space properties.
You did, but I had gone out there and said, you know what? I think we should just do a slab.
We were told from the grader, we have this awesome grader named Jerry, and he told us, everybody was telling you, this is a great slab lot. This is a great slab lot. And I did talk to a close realtor friend of mine, and she's been in the business for like 25 years. And she said, Megan, in my 25 years in real estate, she said, I have never dealt with a crawl space home that didn't have issues. And it got me thinking. I also have another realtor friend whose husband is a home inspector or retired. And she was like, just think about it and call him if you want to pick his brain. But I think a slab would be your best option. And then as I'm driving home, because I was about an hour away from where we live now, I was like, you know what? We spent 19 years on a slab home. Touch wood, we didn't have any problems, right? We didn't have to dig anything up, but there were some things we worked around, but for 19 years, we were okay on a slab. So we talked about it and decided, okay, let's call that designer one more time and let's now get a plan for a slab.
More money, more time. But we made the right decision there. The moral of the story is the less of that nonsense that you can mitigate, the better it is. And one of the things that we tend to do as humans is we want to look around and go, oh, well, that looks cool. We've already made up our mind. We're going to get this. I'm the worst at it, by the way, especially like vehicles or something. But that's cool. Make up your mind. Know that it's the right choice. And unless it adds value to your life that you can't live without, stick with it.
Stick to the plan.
Yeah, stick to the plan because time is actually more important to you once you get started than money. Because if you start delaying stuff and changing stuff, that delays the process. And these guys are not sitting in a coffee shop waiting to come to your job to work.
They got to work
so you want to make sure that you are keeping the schedule just to keep the project moving along, because changes will destroy a project. It will kill it. It will delay it. And, one day of rain can cost you a week of construction, and you can't control that, but you can control the choices you make.
Yeah. So if we had gone into this, will you hold him?
Mm-hmm.
If we had gone into this knowing that what we were going to do with our foundation ahead of time, we would be well past framing at this point.
Yeah.
Like the house would be framed in. We'd probably be working on drywall. We haven't even gotten the slab formed yet. That's supposed to happen this week. So and we're paying rent. We're paying rent. We're paying the mortgage, or the loan on the land. So there's just a lot of cost that goes into it. So just know that all of that is going to add up. So hopefully this is the only change we make.
Yeah, and if we do make a change, it's going to be something we're going to have to discuss and look at the schedule. Always look at your schedule. Money's one thing, and it's very important, but the time is the biggest issue.
Yeah. So try not to make so many changes.
Yeah, stick with it.
Stick with the plan.